Hey everybody, good morning. You know, somebody asked me after I did my preview for the NFL 2012 season if I was going to do a college football one. And I thought about it and I figured, you know what? Why not do one based on college, centered around the college football season? Now, we all know 1 week has already gone by, but as we pretty much know, 1 week really doesn't mean anything. Sure, there was a lot of surprises. I mean, you know, Ohio beating Penn State, and some games that were closer than we thought. Like San Jose State almost upsetting Stanford, which didn't happen. Nevada, in some people's minds, upsetting Cal. So yeah, there was some surprises, but again, as we all know, 1 week doesn't really matter much. I understand that one of the big news coming out of the past season was, you know, the whole Penn State issue and how they almost got, got the death penalty, as some people put it, when it comes to college football. I can understand how, that could affect people mentally. I can understand how it could affect the team and even the fan base. But what's surprising is the fan base has remained, and I think that's what they should be grateful for. They should be grateful just for that. That the fan base has remained and stood by the side. Yeah, it's a shame that they had to take down the Joe Paterno statue, but I believe. My mom is always telling me have a positive outlook on things, and I'm very positive that after the 4-year ban, Penn State's going to bounce back. I got a feeling during these 4 years, they're going to get bowl eligible records. They're going to be bowl eligible, and they might even be, BCS eligible, if you will, or playoff 4-team, BCS eligible, or as they like to call it next year, 4-team playoff eligible, even though they won't be able to go. They're going to have those kind of records that, records showing that by the time the ban's over, in my opinion, they're going to be big-time contenders. They're going to be a team to watch out for. In other words, they're going to be the USC team of in the next 4 years. So I definitely look and see positive things occurring for Penn State in the 4 years that they'll be banned, because they're going to be putting up records. The win-loss record is going to be like, hey, this team can contend for a national title now, but they can't. It'll be like, this is a national championship team that can contend for it, but they can't. And by, like I say, at the time the ban is lifted, that point will be proven. There's no doubt about it. Speaking of USC, this is the first year back from the probation, and they're already ranked number one over last year's champion, because they had an impressive year, even though they couldn't go anywhere. So, do I see USC dominating the Pac-12 this year? I'd say so. I'd say they're going to be the team to beat. And I say the teams that are going to give them a run for the money are Stanford, Oregon, and I'm probably going to throw in a surprise there, and I'd say maybe Cal or Washington might, give them a run as well. But like I said, I think the two top teams, as usual, are going to be Stanford and Oregon. They're going to give USC a run for its money. And like I said, Cal and Washington, I feel, is going to give them some good games. And my surprise pick, honestly, I think is going to be Utah. I got a feeling when USC faces Utah this year, if they face Utah or whatever, I've got a feeling Utah is going to be the surprise. If they have to face Utah in the schedule, or if they have to face them in the championship, I feel Utah is going to be the surprise team of this year for the Pac-12. And if it ends up being, and I got a feeling Utah, if they're in a different division in the conference, then I feel they're going to end up in the Pac-12 championship. And if it's against USC, and I think it's going to be against USC, because I think Utah is the North. I think so. So I've got a feeling Utah is going to be a surprise team in the North, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to them, Stanford, and Oregon to see who's going to represent the North in the Pac-12 championship. So against USC. Now I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I can't. I don't really have the schedule on me right now. Actually, I do. It's called an iPod, and let me check my ESPN page. That'll let me know. But yeah, I truly think Utah is going to be one of the surprise teams of the Pac-12 this year. I really believe that. And I definitely keep, if I'm, and if I'm USC and I'm the rest of the Pac-12, I keep an eye out for that. I really do. I keep an eye out, for them, and see where they go from there. I honestly do. So, but speaking of conferences and even making conference debuts, let's talk about the SEC for example. The SEC, of course, as we know, during last year and such, acquired Texas A&M and Missouri. Some fans, I'm pretty sure, when you look at the Missouri KU Kansas situation, are not too happy about that because, let's be honest, Missouri's not really a Southeastern team. They are a Big 12 team. I mean, some people might say the most logical sense would have been to take either Texas Tech or Texas instead of Missouri. But, they wanted them and, they got them. So, there's not much you could say about that. Let me check the standings. That'll let me know where Utah's at. But like I say, can't really say anything much about that. The way I look at it, though, is it's all about the money, and it's all about competition. And I think maybe in the athletic directors' minds, they feel, hey, you know what? If we go to this conference, we'll probably have an easier time contending for a championship. Now, I'm not saying that that's exactly what goes through their minds, but, still, it kind of makes a little sense if you're in their division. But anyway, to get back on point, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, are hoping someday that decision might be reversed. And that Missouri might go back to the Big 12 or might go somewhere that's more geographically logical. But then again, when you take a look at pro football, you got Dallas that should be in the NFC North and then the NFC East, and you got Carolina who's in the South who should be in the East. So there you go. Okay, Utah's in the same division. Is in the South Division with USC, so they wouldn't be contending against USC in a Pac-12 championship. But I truly believe they're going to be the ones that give USC a run for the money when it comes to the South Division. But getting back to the SEC, though, I'm not trying to say anything bad about it. It's the school's decision, it's the conference's decision, and if they feel both sides can benefit from it, then that's great. And again, like I said, it's not a first time thing because again, you look at pro football, and you got teams like Dallas, like I mentioned, in the east of the NFC, and you got the South having Carolina, and it just doesn't make sense there, does it, geographically? It doesn't make sense. Now, I'm looking at the divisions here, and what really doesn't make sense is you got Missouri in the SEC East Division, and you got A&M in the West Division. So, well, there you go there. If you want to say something doesn't want to make sense. But speaking of the SEC, you got Texas A&M. That team I can believe being part of the SEC because to me they've always had the look of not just the Big 12 conference, but the look that they could fit into any conference. So I definitely think Texas A&M is definitely going to be a surprise for the SEC. As a matter of fact, they got a big test at home today, and by the time you watch this, the game will probably already been played or being played against Florida. So we'll just have to see what happens there, but it's going to be a big test for them. And if they pass the test, they pass the test, But I think they're going to be the team, along with Missouri, that's going to surprise the SEC. And, both divisions, I think, are going to have a run for the money. I think Missouri, I believe, in their first year, along with Georgia and Florida, are going to be, along with Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina, it even shows it here on the standings, but I feel are going to be even, with the standings, are going to be the top four in the East Division to beat, top four in the East Division. And in the West, in the SEC West, I see Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, and believe it or not, I see Mississippi State maybe, being the teams to beat. Arkansas, I definitely still see in there, but I feel Mississippi State's going to be a surprise team, and I feel they're going to, give Alabama along with Texas A&M and LSU a run for their money. And, speaking of the Big 12, now we go to the Big 12, I should say, and it also acquired some new teams, as we know. Two of them, most notably being TCU and West Virginia. Not enough to do two divisions yet, but just enough to kind of, keep those hopes alive. I mean, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We still have 10 teams. They might as well change the name to the Big 10 into the new Big 10 instead of the Big 12. And the Big 10 should be like the Big 11. But still, I think the Big 12 is working on trying to acquire 2 more teams. But, West Virginia and TCU, I definitely feel are going to give a big jolt to the Big 12. They're going to give them a big, pump up, that big ejection of life that they need again, and and help them be like the conference to be the dominant conference. I feel honestly that Baylor, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas, West Virginia, and TCU are going to be your Big 12 representatives when it comes to the postseason. I just feel it. Oklahoma State, yeah, they're a good team. They made it to a BCS last year. Baylor, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas, West Virginia, and TCU, I feel are going to be the teams, like I said. I think I mentioned Oklahoma State. If I didn't, then I just did. Are going to be the teams that are going to represent Big 12 in the bowl season. So I don't know exactly who will go where, but if it comes down to the championship, who's going to be the Big 12 champion, to me, last year it came down to either Baylor, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma, and even Kansas State being the top teams. I feel it's going to come down this year to Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and West Virginia. Those are going to be the 3 that are going to battle it out for that championship. Believe it or not, I just feel it. But, and of course, there have been some other, moves as well. As a matter of fact, if I can... Here it is, Mountain West Conference. If I can find it, I think the Mountain West got a few new teams as well. Yeah, the Mountain West got Fresno State. I think they got Nevada. And they got Hawaii. And they got a few other teams coming as well in the coming years. But those teams added in are going to give the Mountain West an ejection as well. So, in what could be its final years, because as rumors going around, news is going around, USA, Conference USA, and Mountain West may be joining up soon. But this is definitely going to be a good momentum shift, a good fresh start for the teams. I got a feeling Hawaii might be a surprise pick. I've got a feeling Boise, even though they got one loss right now, they're going to bounce back. I got a feeling Boise, Fresno, and Hawaii are going to be the teams to beat in that division. Nevada may be the same way, but I got a feeling Nevada, okay, let's just put it this way. Boise, Hawaii, Nevada, and Fresno State are going to be your top four in the Mountain West. And they'll be the ones that get into bowls this year. And I predict one of those four is going to be an at-large for the BCS. I just feel that coming. Overall, though, I think it's going to be a very interesting college football season. Of course, as we all know, it's the final year for the BCS the way it is, and then next year we go into a 14 playoff. Still have the bowl games, I'm pretty sure, like the Orange, the Sugar, the Rose, the Fiesta, and all that. But as far as the teams go in those games, they'll have to advance on to other games later on to see who gets to that championship. So, overall, I think it's going to be an interesting year for for college football. Some new teams are making their debuts in FBC play, like Texas Tech and University of Texas San Antonio are, off to so far a good start in the WAC, but they got the rest of the season to try to improve themselves as a good team. As far as, let's say, Conference USA goes, I think they're about the same. Let's see if they are. Trying to see here. I don't see any new additions, but I definitely do see I'm going out on a limb here. I'm saying Houston and UCF are going to be the teams to beat in both divisions. UCF and Houston, I believe, are going to face each other in the Conference USA Championship at the end of the year. The Big East, I don't know if they've gotten any new teams yet or not. I don't think they'll get some new teams until the next few years. No, they haven't gotten anybody yet, but I believe Connecticut's going to be the team to beat this year. I feel it. They made it to a BCS before. They're going to make it again, and they'll be the team to beat this year in the Big East. And in Big Ten play, they got a championship now. The Legends League, I feel the Legends division in the Big Ten is going to be wide open. I feel that it's going to come down to Nebraska and it's going to come down to Michigan. One of those two are going to get in the championship. And then as far as the Leaders division, I feel it's going to come down to Wisconsin and Purdue. Those are the only ones that I see. I mean, Indiana and Illinois, I wouldn't be surprised if they make it either, but Wisconsin and Purdue, I believe, are going to be the ones that are going to fight it out for that Leaders Division title. And overall, I think it's going to be Nebraska and it's going to be Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship at the end of the year. And as far as the ACC goes, Clemson made it to a BCS last year. Miami, I feel, is on the verge of doing it too. So, if anything, I see the Atlantic Division being fought out, being fought amongst three teams. Three teams, I feel, going to fight it out for the Atlantic Division title of the ACC. Clemson, Florida State, and Wake Forest. And as far as the Coastal Division of the ACC goes, you always got to put Virginia Tech in there. put North Carolina in as a surprise, as another contender maybe, and of course you got to put the U in there as well. So Georgia Tech and Virginia and Duke, I feel also going to do good this year. But the three teams that are going to battle it out for that Coastal title is going to be Miami, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. And at the end of the year, I feel it's going to be Florida State, and it's going to be Virginia Tech in the ACC championship. So, and as far as the Pac-12 championship goes, I don't know if I talked about that one. But like I said, I feel the South Division is going to be, fought over by USC and Utah, going to be the ones to beat there. And in the North Division, I feel it's going to come down to four teams battling out for that North Division title: Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and Cal. I feel it's going to be the four teams. I feel that it will be Stanford this year that will face USC in the championship. So that would be a Big 12 championship at the end of the year. I mean, if I'm wrong about what I've been saying on this video, then I'm wrong. But overall, the way things are, I feel that that's what could be happening, in my honest opinion, during the college football season, and what could happen when we get to the championships at the end of the year. As far as the bowl games go, we don't really know what's going to happen there yet. But if I was to pick any two teams right now to get to the national title game, I'd have to definitely go with the two teams right now that are in front, and that's USC and Alabama. Unless Stanford, they get to that game championship against USC and upset them, then I still got to go with USC and Alabama though. So, but again, that's just my honest opinion. If we look at the top 25, if I can get to it, if I can get to the top 25 here. Here you go, rankings. But the thing is, like I said, right now you got to go with USC and Alabama as the teams that'll be in the national title game at the end of the year. That's according to the AP poll and everything. But this is the way I see it. You're either going to have Alabama, USC as predicted, but the teams that could mess it up for them are right below them at 4 and 5, and that's Oregon, Oklahoma. So if you don't get USC, I feel it'll be Oregon, Alabama again. And if you don't get Alabama, I've got a feeling it's going to be USC, LSU. And if not, you're going to have Oregon, LSU, and then Oklahoma you got to throw into the mix as well. So I feel that, it's going to be between those top four. One of those four teams at the top four will make it. And then the wild card being Oklahoma. If Oklahoma somehow shoots to number one and remains there, I've got a feeling their opponent will be Oregon. That's what I feel. Because Oregon is a good team. USC is a good team. But I think Oregon, if it comes down to the point that at the end of the year, it looks like it could be an Oregon-Oklahoma match in the national title game, Oregon is definitely going to want it more by winning that Pac-12 championship. But I'm going to go with what I said before. I feel it's going to be Stanford and USC in the Pac-12 championship, and I got to go with USC and Alabama right now in the national title game. So that's all I'm going to say. That's my thought on the 2012-13 college football season. Give me your thoughts down below. Sorry this video went a little long, and I will talk to you all later.